Thinking. Okay, I guess we're live, ma'am. We'll
Here
just
we go.
wait for a few folks to come in and join us.
To pop in.
Yes. Happy New Year 2021. Do you feel like it's a new year? Does it feel different?
No. I always feel like New Year's, like, I do think there's a little part of you that says things are going to be different. Like, I get this chance to have a fresh start, but also, like, just like when you have a birthday and people are like, how do you feel? And I'm like, the same as I did yesterday.
Exactly. It's
I
so
feel the
funny.
same as yesterday.
My son, because he turned six December 16th. And so
Okay.
the very next day, he was like, I don't really feel like older. I feel the same. Oh, goodness. Oh, we got a couple of folks in. Hey, Nastasio.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Mimi. Hey, Sabrina. Happy New Year to you ladies, too. Thank you for tuning in. Goodness. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. We are about to talk all about getting fit. This
Mhm.
is the first day of 2021. We're just going to wait a couple minutes, let a couple more folks come in. Hey, Chanel, P2P in the house.
Now, Nicole, am I to understand you have a birthday coming, don't you?
Yes, ma'am. It is a week from tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Okay. Wait, so what's that?
January 9th.
January 9th. Okay, my husband's is the 12th.
Ah, that's my grandmother's birthday. Wow,
Oh,
look at that. You're surrounded by Capricorns, girl.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Goodness. Okay, Sandra's here. Hey, love.
Hey,
P2P is really
Sandra.
showing up. And Susan, hey, how are you? Okay. Thank you guys all for joining us today. We are here to talk about fitness. I have the lovely Evelyn LeVasseur here, the fitness coach who is the owner operator of Evelyn LeVasseur Fitness. And we're really talking about how to get fit and to stay fit in 2021 without dieting, without deprivation, without trying all the juices and all the, Atkins and all these little things that cause you to rebound back. And so, Evelyn, I want you to just take a few minutes and tell everybody a little bit about how you got to where you are now. And then if there are questions as we're talking, make sure that you drop them in the chat. But I want to kick us off and just get started.
All right. Well, so I am Evelyn LeVasseur, and you said Evelyn LeVasseur Fitness is my company where I help busy moms reach their body goals. No dieting, no deprivation. I am a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. I also have a specialization in behavior change. Um, Long before my fitness journey, I was also a middle school teacher, and I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in education. So my journey, honestly, when I look at it as a whole, started when I was really, really young and not realizing how much the comments people made about me kind of defined how I saw myself. And I would get a lot of attention for my body. I was athletic. I played softball, so I was a little muscular also. And I would get constant comments about my booty.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just gonna say you got the hey girl, hey.
hey, with the booty. And even at the time, I don't know that I understood what was happening, but I got so used to those comments that it kind of became a part of who I was. So when I went to college and I put on some pounds, I tried my first diet and I actually fell in love with it because I was like, oh, this is easy. I could just mess with my food a little bit and change my body this quick. Of course, being 19, it happens a little faster too.
just
But
just a little bit.
yeah, and the thing is, like, there's something about the ease of it and feeling in control that was really just enticing to me until
Mhm.
you stop following their protocol and you gain weight back. And because you still didn't deal with the real issue, then, well, you try another diet. And that's kind of how life went for me. I was still active, but as I got older and especially as I became a mom, my body changed dramatically. And my answer consistently was it had to be the food. Truly, even when I first started working with clients, we worked a lot on nutrition and exercise. And that didn't answer, that was a Band-Aid. The food and the exercise is a Band-Aid because the problem really isn't the food. And it took me a long time to see that.
Okay, good. And so I know we talked in the podcast about how you tried all the different things. And one of the things that I hear come up often is, okay, even if I do this diet for a couple of weeks, I can still sustain my weight loss because I'm going to make a lifestyle change, right, in my eating. But a lot of that is revolved around extreme deprivation. And I was laughing because you were telling me how when people work with you, like say you have this big, not fear of chocolate, but you love chocolate, but you're not going to buy any because you know that you'll eat it. Tell us a little bit about what you expect or what you tell your clients when you're coaching them. So if I came to you like, Ev, listen, I love chocolate, but I'm not putting it in my house. So what we got to do?
Okay. So first of all, I'm going to grab my wine to explain this because
cheers.
because we don't give this up either. So people will say all the time, like, I can't have chips in the house. I need to have no cookies in the house. I can't have chocolate in the house because I can't control myself. And I will tell you that saying I can't control myself is really another way of saying you don't trust yourself. And, a lack of self-trust is a huge part of the problem. But in order to regain some of that trust, you have to expose yourself to the things that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. So, Nicole, if you feel like chocolate is your nemesis, then I'm going to send you to the store to go buy some chocolate. And I'm going to advise you to eat it every single day. Every day.
How does that even work though? Like, talk to me about that because I know I've done that so many times, right? Like, I'm gonna leave the ice cream sandwiches right where they're at. But then I found myself eating other stuff to supplement or fulfill that sweet desire. So how does it work when you tell people to purchase what it is that's your nemesis and put it in the house? What does that do for people?
Well, so I want you to think of it first. If you're telling yourself, I can't have this thing, you are relinquishing all of your own power and saying, like, I can't control anything that happens with me. But when you expose yourself to it over time, you're actually telling yourself, I can have this whenever I want, guilt-free. I'm comfortable. I can eat a little at a time. And it doesn't happen fast. Maybe the first few days, you have this unhealthy relationship with this chocolate. So for the first few days, you feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to eat chocolate, like, this woman is crazy.
Exactly.
But if you say to yourself, like, let's say that you love Hershey chocolate bars. They're broken up into little squares. So break a couple of squares, eat it with lunch. Break a couple of squares, eat it with dinner. After a few days, usually up to a week, it starts to feel like comfortable. You start to notice that when you eat it, especially if you're being mindful, you're putting it in your mouth, you're tasting the flavors, you're releasing the power and actually enjoying it for what it is, a delicious little treat. After a few days, you don't feel so uncomfortable around it. And you realize because there's no restrictions, you can have it whenever you want, and it makes you want it even less, to be honest. If you think about it, have you ever heard how when people have food allergies, they can go see the allergist and they actually give you a little bit of exposure to that allergen? For instance, peanuts. They do like that exposure therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept. You are, you're kind of getting it in your face a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
teaching yourself to say, I'm going to enjoy this little bit and I can have it every day. You literally can have it every single day and your results are not stalled. You do not have to binge because I can have it again tomorrow. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that urgency. I have chocolate. I need to eat it right this second. So you
Mm-hmm.
remove that urgency.
Yeah, it sounds like reverse psychology, right? Like you are giving yourself permission to have it within your house and taking it day by day. It's like
Mhm.
I used to when my daughter was little, I used to leave bowls of candy out, right? Because she liked candy, but she was so exposed to it that it was like nothing to her. So she wasn't, coming in from school, grabbing a handful of candy, maybe the first couple of days, but then after that, it was like, this is old. I'm not even interested.
Exactly. So you did the same thing with her. You kind of taught her that this is there. It's not an emergency. You can enjoy it. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that chocolate is the devil. I mean, I like chocolate. Chocolate is good.
it is.
It's good. But it doesn't make you feel good when you overdo it.
Yeah. And so the principle would be just to keep exposing yourself and not depriving yourself of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about what you see as some of the key ways to release weight, right? So we're not depriving ourselves, but what are some of the important factors? We know what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've talked about the importance of drinking water. What
Mm-hmm.
other things come to mind for you? Do you think would be important as it, being January 1st and everybody trying to get their fit on?
Mm-hmm. So I know I call them the 5 pillars of health. So these 5 things go hand in hand. I'll give you a little bit of background on it first. So
Okay.
have you ever heard the term cortisol?
That's the stress hormone, right? Is that what
It
makes
is.
make that belly fat?
It is. So the cortisol is a hormone that's released by our adrenal gland. And it is responsible for breaking down like macronutrients and allowing your body to break down carbs and your proteins, and then you can absorb the nutrients from there. It's
Mm-hmm.
also responsible for like your stress response in that, if you're home alone and you hear a noise, you kind of hop up. Cortisol triggered you to feel that alertness. Now, that's why it's called the stress hormone. It kind of gets the negative name of being the fat storing hormone because when your cortisol levels are increased for too long a period of time, it does cause you to store fat. And women, specifically around our midsection. Now, the 5 pillars of health, which are sleep, stress, water, nutrition, and exercise, are all related in that when they're not neutral, your cortisol spikes and one impacts the other. If I did not sleep well, my motivation to exercise decreases, my cravings increase, my stress increases. I'm inclined to drink less water. So one impacts the other. And all of
Mm-hmm.
those decisions increase my cortisol level and make me hang on to fat. Now, getting those things to work with each other to get them to play well, if I have a good night's sleep and I'm drinking water and I'm being mindful and eating things that make me feel satiated, I feel less stressed out and I'm more inclined to opt for movement. When all of those things are working together, your body naturally releases more fat because it's letting go of it. And this is going to sound crazy, but so quarantine happens, the world falls apart, and I'm going to tell you, I did not change a thing about the way that I eat. But quarantine forced me to slow down, sleep better, be
Mm-hmm.
more mindful, and stop living life on the go. I didn't realize how much I was existing rather than living,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm. Yes.
And what I saw is I lost a full pant size. And I've lost a total of almost 11 inches. And that's since March. And I'm telling you, I have changed nothing about the way that I eat. and nothing about the way that I exercise, but my stress levels came down dramatically. I'm sleeping soundly and consistently. And now my body is like functioning at its greatest capacity and
It's
doing
in
what it does
flow.
naturally. It's just flowing.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you something too, because I really just learned what this word means. Can you explain what satiated means?
Yeah. So if you think about, um, let's say you eat a donut, half hour, 45 minutes later, you still feel hungry. So your body burns that sugar very, very quickly because it feels like it needs it for energy. So it burns the
Mhm.
sugar quickly and you're left hungry. Now, if you eat chicken breast, though, chicken breast takes 6 hours to process. So the satiation is the part of your body that allows you to not feel hungry for long periods of time. So it's the breakdown process that helps you feel fuller for a longer period of time.
Okay. And so, do foods that are high in sugar tend to burn faster?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So your body has to, when it processes sugar, it processes it first because it gets the signal that it needs to be used for energy. When you eat things like protein and fiber, being your veggies and things, your body can then process them, remove the nutrients, and search for fat to burn for energy as opposed to that sugar you just put in there.
Okay. That makes sense then. So, if
Yeah.
you eat a Snickers and then 30 minutes later you're like, "Ooh, I'm still hungry," it's because your body
Mhm.
has burned through that sugar.
Exactly. It has to go through the sugar first.
So, with your five pillars,
Mhm.
tell us how important two things that I am just now really getting in order, if I'm being honest, are around my water intake
Mhm.
and my sleep. Like
Mhm.
you, being home and being in quarantine has allowed me to go to bed a little bit later, but then also sleep in a little bit later. I'm not
Mhm.
up running and having to take the kid to school, run into the office, none of that. And so help us understand how important those two are. Not that they're any more important than the others, but how important are sleep and water intake?
So your sleep, you have to think that when you go to bed at night, especially when you relax, your cortisol levels dip. They dip dramatically and allow your body to form what's called a reset. And it stays neutral overnight. So the
Mm-hmm.
longer that you're sleeping, the longer your body's resetting itself and the longer your cortisol is staying lower, allowing you to actually burn fat. So when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol spikes instantly as soon as you open your eyes because it has to tell you,
Mm,
it wants you to be alert. It wants you up and moving. So it spikes. Now, getting more consistent consecutive hours of sleep is ideal because you're controlling that hormonal response and allowing your body to not have to feel the stress and then hold on to fat. Water does the same thing. So, first of all, water. People drive. I hate when people say everybody has to drink a gallon of water a day. Um, I mean, I feel like we kind of stick to those rules because we want to tell ourselves, I somebody knows better than me, so I have to listen to what they have to say.
because that's what they said, right? But who the hell is they?
Who's
Who
they?
told you that?
Who's they? And why do they keep telling us this crazy stuff?
And why are
So,
you listening to them?
yeah, they don't even have a name. Stop it. So, my husband is a foot taller than me and, 60 pounds heavier. Logically, ask yourself, how could we possibly both need a gallon of water? How could our bodies have the same need?
Mm,
That doesn't make sense. So if you try to think about it a little bit more logically, we're going to say you need about half your body weight in ounces of fluid. So if you are 150 pounds, you want to try to drink about 75 ounces of water a day.
okay.
Now, I am not a big fan of tracking things. I'm not a big fan of like forcing myself to finish a specific amount of water. You can tell if your body has started to dehydrate because you get thirsty.
Mm,
So, really, what you have to do throughout the day is sip periodically, keep yourself hydrated. Don't allow yourself to get thirsty because at that point, your body's already started dehydrating and your cortisol has already spiked.
It's
So
too late.
sipping
Yeah.
a day is what you want to do.
Now, what about the flavored waters or
Mm-hmm,
adding things like there's these little B12 things that I add to my water? It says that
mm-hmm,
it's low calorie, but I guess I'm not ashamed to say just the taste of water by itself sometimes,
mm-hmm.
probably because I'm so used to, I like juice. I'm not a big pop
Yep.
drinker, but
Mm-hmm,
I like juice.
mm-hmm.
So I tend to want to make my water taste a little different. Does that negate all the work that the regular water is already doing?
Well, I mean, so ask yourself, like, did you choose a little bit of a flavored water over a soda? Okay, so
Don't
if
be
it
snatching my
is,
edges, ma'am.
uh, just we're gonna smooth them down a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Listen, if it is something you enjoy and it keeps you from, making other choices and it feels right to you, then guess what? You're doing the right thing. You know,
Okay.
if you hate water, plain water by itself, I cannot tell you, Nicole, you better drink a gallon of plain water tomorrow because Evelyn, at least I didn't say they, because Evelyn said you have to.
So you're they. You are they. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if it works for you and you're getting your water in, you're doing the right thing. I tell
Okay.
people, you add lemon to it, throw in fresh strawberries or orange or lime. I love sometimes to throw in chunks of frozen fruit. I love seltzer. I do like plain water, so it's not really an issue for me. But if you don't like it, I'm not going to force you to do it because you're not going to do it for long.
It's not
Anything that you
sustainable.
try that you hate it, it's not going to stick along. It's not going to stick around.
Okay, good. We got some comments over here
Uh
too.
oh.
Hey, Trinette, Happy New Year. And Lacey's here too. Woo
Hey,
woo, pizza
Lacey.
pig. She said that she has used the half the body weight rule. So
Mm-hmm.
that's good. I've heard that before too. And then, oh, my sister's here.
Hi.
Hi, Jazz. She said, what about cold water versus warm water? That's a good question because I've heard too, right? Drink room temperature water. It's
Mm-hmm.
harder to process cold water, like all those different things.
Mm-hmm. So again, I'm just gonna say, they say, right?
You and this they.
They say it's ideal to drink room temperature water.
Okay.
But I say, if it's a choice between drinking cold water or no water, drink your cold water.
Okay.
You know, I want you to always this is the very difficult part, is like letting go of all the information. First of all, the internet provides you with so much information, it's hard to decipher what's even right. And
Hmm.
my goal at the end of the day is to get you reconnecting with your body, and your body knows what it wants and needs more than anybody else. Nicole, I could help you reach your goal, but truly what I'm helping you do is reconnect with yourself, because you know you better than I do. All
Mm,
the certifications I have, all the science that I have, all the data that I have does not bypass your intuition.
mm,
You haven't been connected with it entirely because we learned to ignore it for a long time. But really,
mhm.
my goal is to let you see that you already know what's best for you. You just kind of forgot.
Okay. So trusting your gut is a really big part of it, if
It
I hear
is.
you correctly. And I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've deprived myself because they said you can't eat this, or they said you should really have, 90% of your plate be vegetables.
Mhm.
Um, Speaking of that, what do you think about like the low carb, the no carb, those sort of things? And I see we have Miss Candace in here too.
Hey, Candy.
Yay! And Courage is here too. She said that she uses lemon and lime in her water.
I love
Okay,
lemon lime out.
good.
Courage, drink your water, Courage.
Sip up, boo.
I'm going to tell you, okay, so Atkins, keto, Weight Watchers, isogenics, Jenny Craig, all of those things work for right now. Let
Mm,
me tell you something. 3 to 4 weeks later, when you're feeling good and your motivation is good, and all of a sudden you want like that chocolate you wouldn't let you have because it's not on your plan, then you want more and more of that chocolate. You rebound. You can't help it. Your brain is going to reject any strict plan you put it in because it doesn't like to eat that way. Your brain wants what makes it feel good, and that has to be what makes your body feel good. So I'm not a fan of the diets and the new year, new me. And I keep watching commercials, right? Weight
Girl, I'm so
Watchers
tired of
now.
these commercials everywhere.
And I did Weight Watchers. I did Weight Watchers for a long time, and I was successful with it. And then as soon as at the time I stopped counting my points, I just started putting on pounds, you know? Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Eck, all of them, right? All of them. I don't want to slip and swear, but
Girl, say what you need to say.
all right. Listen, they don't give
We grown
a
in
shit.
here.
They don't give a shit that in 8 weeks you're going to rebound and feel bad about yourself. They don't care that you're going to feel guilty or shame or not trust yourself around food because of all the rules they put on you. They don't care. It's the beginning of the year. They're working to make some coins, and now they got to get even more because they got to pay Oprah and Sierra. I mean,
Not both of them, though.
they got to push their product hard. But none of those programs account for what happens when you're not following their rules. And the fact is, they never taught you how to figure things out for yourself, how to trust yourself, how to get connected with your gut, how to eat in a way that makes you feel good without needing anybody else's rules at all. They don't teach you that because to them, I mean, it's kind of beneficial for you to fall off and have to buy another plan, right?
Of course, because then they're getting more coins.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Gosh. Lacey said, well, now Oprah owns it.
Right?
Oh, gosh. And Candace said something too. I wanted to read her comment. She said that she has to be parched to drink room temperature water because she hates it. Even room temp, she said, your internal temp is still warmer than that. So the body is going to heat it up anyway. I had no idea. Okay. Thank you, Doxy. Oh man. Yeah, this is super good. I think right now I know I went to the gym today. And there weren't as many people in there as I thought that there would be, but I know a lot of people are going to start going hard, you know, just going to the gym, and maybe not changing some of their eating habits. Where do we need to start realistically before we start changing what we eat, putting together these strict workout routines? What can we do to set ourselves up to be successful in releasing weight and getting fit and being healthy?
I think the very, very first thing to do is like have a hard talk with yourself and ask yourself, how many years in a row have you had the same body goal? How many years has your resolution been about finally losing weight? You know, and then that's when you have to be real and say, all the things that I've tried in the past have not worked. So this has to be different. I have to be different now. And I always start with never having any strict ideas about where to begin. First of all, strap in because it's not a fast thing. You're not just going
Say it
to
again. One more time for the one time.
Listen, you're going to eat a carrot today, but that doesn't mean you're going to be thinner tomorrow. Like it's gonna, I know you're like, I had salad for lunch. Why am I not small? But
Courage said, mind your business, Evelyn.
Who said that?
Courage did.
Courage, drink some water, Courage. I have to check on Courage because sometimes she forgets to drink her water.
Ooh-wee.
But so I always say that the best thing you could do for yourself to start changing that mindset is to start adding things in instead of taking them away. So don't tell yourself like, I'm going to cut out sugar. I'm going to, stop eating starches. You should start adding things in. So instead, I'm going to say tomorrow, I'm going to have vegetables with at least 2 of my meals. And do that consistently. If you can reach that goal, having vegetables with your meals for several days, then celebrate the fact that you made yourself a promise and you came through. Also, you don't realize at that time when you are eating more vegetables, you naturally throughout the day are taking in less calories because you're satisfied. So it's not a mind game. It's not a counting game. It's just, I'm going to add this in And I mean, focus on nothing else. I try to get people, you focus on one thing at a time. I'm going to add in more vegetables and I'm not going to change anything else. If I can do that, great. I'm going to add in something else. Maybe going for a walk with my family.
Yeah.
You know, but one thing at a time, adding it in, and you naturally will start eating less. The other thing is, I feel like being mindful. I think if this pandemic has taught us anything, is that we live in perpetual distraction. We are, girl, we are running from one place to the next. We have appointments, we have phone calls, we're trying to juggle cleaning the house.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then what do? You sit down and you eat and you're scrolling through your phone or you're watching a program on television. So the second you have a distraction in front of you, you're disconnected.
Yeah.
So you don't even realize you ate too much until you already have a stomach ache.
And your plate is clean, right?
That's right.
Talk about that for a second too, because I know, you know, we're probably around the same age.
Young.
I know, young. Right? We young, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up hearing, finish what's on your plate, right? If this is what I made, this is what you're going to eat. And so with all of us being grown in here, though, how do we get through that sort of mindset that we have grown up with that's so embedded in us? We don't want to waste the food because it costs money, right? There are people all over the world that don't have food, so I must clear my plate. How do we work through those sorts of things?
So I think that you have to get super logical, right? When you were younger, it doesn't matter if, you know, my parents were the same way. If you sat at that table and they put food on your plate, like you finished it before you got up. And even if you happen to want dessert, or if there was dessert at the time, you had to finish your food in order to earn that dessert. So that literally, when I talk about us being disconnected from our needs, it all starts there. When we were born into this world, we knew exactly what we wanted and needed. We got hungry, we screamed, somebody fed us. We stopped drinking because we were full. That's it. We knew.
Finished and done.
It is literally a primal intuition for us to nourish our bodies. It's just rules and all these outside sources that taught us to ignore that. So first our parents told us we had to eat all the food.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Lacey.
Oh boy.
She said, I ate in the bathroom and flushed most of it down the toilet. To hell with the hungry kids in Africa. I'm so done with you, Lacey. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm like, oh, Lord.
That is hysterical. Hysterical. But, you know, I used to always say, like, when my parents would say things like, there are starving children in the world, in my head, I would say, like, then why the hell did you feed me so much? Like, you could have gave them some. Why you put so much food on my plate when somebody else could have had half?
Oh, gosh.
So I think that if we could change our thoughts in the sense like, okay, so maybe you want to finish the food on your plate, then maybe you serve a little bit less on there. And it's okay to put away the extra food and have it for leftovers tomorrow. As a matter of fact, it's beneficial because now you just got 2 healthy meals out of what you normally would have forced yourself to have in one sitting. And you know, the idea of kids starving, it's true and it's tragic, but
that ain't got nothing to do with you and your plate.
Your plate is not going to change that. You know what's going to change that? You making a donation for kids. You go into a food shelter and saying, is there a family that I can help? If you want to handle that, then handle that. But that has nothing to do with what you feed yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of reconnecting with your body and saying, I have always known what was best for me, and I need to let some of this stuff go.
I'm going to ask you in a minute, how do we reconnect with ourselves to do that? But first, Sabrina has a question, and this is a really good question. So thank you, Sabrina. She says, does metabolism play a big part in weight loss or weight gain?
So yes and no, because a lot of us believe that like smaller people have a faster metabolism, and heavier people have a sluggish metabolism. And that can be true depending if you have health issues, but for the most part, your metabolism is a compilation of all of your hormones reacting together. So like we talked about your cortisol levels, when they're up too high, you hold on to fat. The other thing that happens is, and I feel like some of the science can get a little boring or overwhelming, but when your cortisol levels get increased, your insulin levels automatically want to neutralize it. So they start increasing like crazy so they can kind of meet the cortisol. Cortisol and insulin work best together. But when cortisol is high, insulin goes high. So essentially, your body is reading like it's having a sugar spike. So you start holding on to things. So like I said, when we talk about those 5 pillars of health and we're trying to get them all to work together, you're reducing your cortisol level and allowing your insulin level to relax so that your sugars aren't constantly spiking, throwing your body out of control. So really your metabolism is most affected by your hormonal responses.
Is there any way that we can increase our metabolism? Does it make sense to try to increase your metabolism?
I would say it's not like a number that goes higher. It's just something that functions more efficiently and effectively. So getting more sleep, drinking your water, eating foods that nourish you without overeating, and movement. And I'm not talking about like, doing 90 minutes of intense class. I'm talking about movement. If you have a goal of just getting thinner this year, just losing the weight and feeling healthy, then the only thing you need to do is start walking. I mean, the only thing you need to do is start walking every day, 30, 45 minutes or 60 minutes, whatever you choose. That movement gets your whole body burning fat from top to bottom. Now, if your goal is to lean out and gain muscle, you're going to have to lift some shit.
Okay. Ooh, and I know you like to lift weights. I'll let you talk to people about that directly. So one more question. Oh, Mr. Rohn. Hey, boo. He said, what does a good plate of food look like for you?
So, and that's different for every single human being, but a plate that's going to make you feel satisfied and keep your body satiated for a longer period of time is going to be first focused on protein and fiber. So your lean meat or whatever protein you use, a lot of fiber, because that is where you get your satiation from, and that is where you get most of your key nutrients from to begin with. And
what kind of foods are high in fiber?
All veggies, all fruit, grains, beans, things like that.
Okay.
So you want your protein, you want fiber, and you want then to add in some healthy fats and healthy starches as well. So like when I say healthy fats, I'm talking olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, things like that. So the thing is, protein takes 6 hours to kind of get filtered through your system. Fiber helps you feel full longer. The healthy fat not only helps you feel full longer, but it actually helps your gallbladder and liver produce those fats or break them down a little bit better and help your body burn fat. So you need fat to burn fat. And then the starches can help with fullness. But when we start thinking about starches, we start thinking about like, rolls, big dinner bread, Miletti's bread, things like that, right? So, and I'm not saying don't have them, but those things also have a ton of sodium in them, which can cause you to blow up because you're retaining fluid.
Really?
So, yes. So like sweet potato, red potato, white potatoes, rice, those things are good starches that you can process effectively with minimal sodium, and you don't get that bloating.
Okay, good. So you answered, it's moving, the chat. You answered Coach Courage's question. She was asking about healthy starch. And then let's see. And then Taylor says, Evelyn, do you do virtual training and meal plans?
Okay. So I do virtual training. I used to do meal plans, and I can tell you now, I do still write meal plans only if someone is willing to do the mindset work also. Because if I give you the meal plan, Yeah, if I give you the meal plan, right, you can start making changes and start seeing results pretty quickly. But if you're not being mindful with how you sit down and eat your meal or how you feel throughout the day, then essentially I just wrote you another diet and you're going to need another meal plan as soon as this one finishes.
Stop snatching the edges.
I'm just saying.
That's okay. And then in a minute, you can talk about, I know you have a program that's coming out, so you can talk about that too. Let's see. What is your opinion on the alkaline diet? And I'm going to add to this. What do you think about CMOS? Uh-oh.
All right.
Okay.
An alkaline diet
Do
is
I need to
meant
sip my wine real quick?
Okay, hold on. An alkaline diet can be beneficial for somebody who struggles with, oh my gosh, specific alkalinities in their food. Some people can't like digest corn well. Some people can't have things like a vinegar, and really that is like a sensitivity to the yeast. So I feel like, I'm not saying that it's bad. Okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do an alkaline diet. Just like I'm not saying that you shouldn't do something like a keto diet. What I'm saying is that anything that you want to try, you should be willing to do it forever.
Okay.
Because the second that you stop is when you have repercussions. Like, there is a ton of science right now to show how keto is hugely beneficial for people that have inflammatory diseases. And they're seeing decreases in all inflammation and reduction in having to take medications. That is not for a weight loss purpose. Somebody who's doing that for the inflammation is doing it because they need to feel good. When you start doing things like that for weight loss, then you are already forcing a disconnect because you're following a specific plan to get to this goal that does not at all take you into consideration in the process.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm reading the comments too. Let's see. So it sounds like these need to be lifestyle changes, right? Whether
Yes.
it's keto or alkaline, or if it's Atkins, it has to be something that you're willing to do forever. Otherwise, if you don't do it, that weight is going to come back. Let's see. Taylor says she's getting wet and ready. Congrats, love.
Oh,
I
hey,
saw
Taylor.
that.
Yes.
Hey, girl, hey. And Darius said thank you. And Candace said, yes, sweet potato, brown rice, those are the healthy starches. Let's see. So Susie says that she eats semi-healthy, drinks water, takes vitamins, and still hasn't lost a pound. What is she missing?
So I feel like we tend to over or underestimate when we say semi. So I would ask, like, what is semi-healthy? Because the truth is, if you are maintaining or gaining weight, it's because you're you're eating more calories than your body is outputting. So I have a little formula usually that I use with people. If you're not sure like what calories you take in regularly or what you should take in, if you take your current weight and multiply that by the number 14, that will give you exactly an average of what you're eating right now. So your current weight times 14 is your maintenance number. That's what you're eating right now. If you want to start losing some weight, I suggest cutting that number back by about 200 to 300 calories a day. They recommend 500.
Here you go with they.
No, they recommend 500, but 500 calorie cutback will lead you to cravings and binging and things like that. So if you can cut back 200 calories, that could be like what, a cheese stick and an apple, a little less than that.
Yeah.
About 200 calories, you'll start seeing that decline. So there could be other things going on, but generally when you are trying to make all these healthy decisions and you're not seeing movement, it's because you're still in a calorie overload.
Okay, rather than a calorie deficit.
Correct. And you don't want to have a huge deficit, but just enough so that your body is burning more than it's taking in.
Okay. Let's see. Can you talk about menopausal weight gain?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay. So yeah, it's completely different for menopausal women, just like it's different for women with like PCOS or even how your body burns fat around your menstrual cycle. So when you get to that point where you are menopausal, your body starts producing more and more estrogen, more so than it does progesterone. So the estrogen increase forces your body to actually store extra fat. So a way to decrease your estrogen level, first of all, you can obviously see a doctor, and there are supplements that can help with your estrogen production, but that should be the last resort. You can do things like, first of all, your sleep again is huge, your water intake is huge, and also for neutralizing that estrogen level, you want to decrease things like those starchy breads, things like chips, and you want to increase your veggies specifically. Fruit is still a wonderful source of vitamins and minerals and fiber, but when you are menopausal, you want to increase your vegetables dramatically and decrease those like heavier sodium-filled starches.
Okay. This is so good. Everybody is loving this. Oh my God.
Yay!
I'm so glad that we're doing this. Two quick questions for
Yeah.
you, and then we can jump into what you have going on and how people can work with you. Number one, how many hours of sleep should we be getting to balance out those 5 different pillars of health? Because you know it's a lot of teen no sleepers around these parts.
Especially with those kids. I love my babies, but they don't sleep.
We were just talking about that. Up late and still up at 7 in the morning.
Yes, yes. The sun is up and they're ready to go. They don't need coffee or anything. They just go.
We need to figure out how to extract that energy and sell it on the street because I need some. I'm just saying.
I always tell, like, I keep telling my husband, like, I'm about to get an apartment and y'all could come visit because I'm tired.
Yes.
I'm tired. So, okay. So you want to ideally get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, consecutive hours of sleep. That's ideal, but we don't live in ideal. We live in reality. So when you have a night where you don't get that sleep and you don't feel rested when you wake up, you need to bring your body a sense of rest throughout the day. Do something to make your body feel relaxed. And let's say it is going for a walk. Let's say, I mean, if you could take a nap, hallelujah, but sometimes you can't do that. Maybe sitting and drinking tea while you read a book, listening to a podcast, something that makes your body feel relaxed and calm.
I got a podcast y'all can listen to.
And, you know, I was listening today and it's pretty good, let me tell you.
Thank you, love. Sorry, just had to chime in.
I'm saying, I co-sign that. If you can bring your body a sense of rest during the day, you actually can almost make up for those hours that you lost at night. So 7 to 9 hours is ideal, but you know, reality is that your kids are going to be up all the damn time. So you have to do things to get your body to relax during the day, and you can make up for those lost hours of sleep.
I see another question. Lacey said melatonin.
Melatonin. For the kids. I was going to say brandy, but we'll do melatonin.
So Susie has one more question. She said, you know what? I can't. Not with Susie. She said that she suffers from IBS, and how does she enjoy and lose weight with it?
Oof. So you're going to have to be really mindful about the foods that make you feel good. And you're also going to have to tell yourself that feeling good overall has to take precedence to your meal. And I'm only saying that because I recently discovered, this was almost 4 months now, that I am allergic to so many things. And I had to eliminate a lot of the food that I love, but in the name of just feeling good. So the first few weeks, I was like a raging, cranky, hungry, mad about it. But I felt good. Like my symptoms were that I was having stomach issues, pain and swelling. I was having swelling in my hands. I was waking up in pain at night and not knowing why. And after 3 weeks, I felt like a totally different person. I have no more swelling, no symptoms. And, you know, that was right before Thanksgiving. So then I was really, really cranky. I was really cranky. And
When
then
all the good
Christmas came
food
up. Yeah. But I literally had the food that I could enjoy and focus on the company instead. We're in a pandemic. I hadn't seen my parents in upwards of a year. You know, the food is secondary to the fact that we're healthy, we're okay, we're here. I can eat a meal that's going to nourish me and focus 100% on the people in front of me rather than how mad I am about what I can't have. So
Yeah.
I think that you can find a middle ground between feeling good physically and accepting that mentally, if these foods are not doing what's right for you and not making your body feel like it's performing optimally, then you really don't need them in your life anymore.
Yeah.
It's
I
almost like
remember
letting
we
go of a
talked
bad
about that
relationship.
too, right? Like letting it go. Will you send me the name of the test that you took or what it was? Because I know you said it was something that was sent home to you, then you sent it back out. Because I think a lot of us, I mentioned with my daughter having migraines and her too experiencing some of the swelling, most of us have these sensitivities to things that we don't even realize we're sensitive to. So I think it would be a huge resource, you know, if people are interested to be able to kind of tap into that. So,
Oh yeah.
Okay. How can we get back in touch with ourselves? Since that's where a majority of the issue is, right? We're not allowing ourselves to know when we're full. We're not really connected to who we are and what we need. How do we get back into that space?
I think that you start with constantly checking in and focusing 100% on intentionality. If you are in distraction, if you are eating out of frustration or emotion or stress or whatever it is that brought you that food, then the issue is always being ignored. So I think the very first step when you've been disconnected for that long is to not only allow yourself to eat the foods that you enjoy, but to be mindful while you're eating them. Because if I sit down and I have a meal and I don't have the TV on and I don't have my phone on and I'm paying attention to the flavors and I'm savoring the meal and I'm enjoying it and I'm telling myself that I'm enjoying this and I pay attention to what my body's saying, I'm going to notice that I don't need to devour all of the food to feel good. And when I walk away from my plate, my body still feels physically good. No bloating, no discomfort. I ate what I enjoyed.
You
I
mean
was
no itis? You don't want to get the itis?
tired. Ain't nobody got time for that. Those kids won't go to sleep.
I love you.
I think intentionality is always the catalyst to change.
Okay.
Being focused, being mindful, being present, and you know, the other thing is, I'm gonna just add one more thing in here. You're gonna have to call yourself on all the bullshit that you tell yourself. Like you are lying to yourself all the time. You say to yourself, I can't have Oreos. I can't have Doritos in the house because that's all I want. But if you step back for 1 minute and say to yourself, if my food that is good, my good food makes me feel good, comfortable, energized, satisfied, are you going to tell me that downing a bag of Doritos gives you that? You get energy when you finish that? Your stomach feels comfortable? You feel ready for your day? No, you're lying to yourself. If you want Doritos, have some Doritos, but make your meals full of something that make you feel good and ready to conquer whatever it is you want to conquer.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself when you say, I can't have those things. That's all I want. That's habit talking.
It's a
Your
mindset.
body doesn't want that.
Wow. This is so good. I so appreciate you. I want to be mindful of time and just ask you to tell us where people can follow you, what you have coming up in the new year, and how we can stay in touch.
I can tell you what I don't have. I don't have no diets coming up in the new
Oh,
year.
okay then.
I am actually having my group coaching program is starting this month, and I'm actually doing a free webinar on the 14th, and it's going to be all about, again, connecting with your body, what to eat to stay satisfied, and how diets actually make us gain weight. Um, and
Say
okay,
that
wait,
again.
wait, wait.
Diets make us do what now?
Gain the weight. They make us gain the weight. So on the 14th, I'll be doing that at 7 p.m. And if anybody was interested in registering, it's at www.evelynfit.com
Okay.
slash claim it. And that'll be about an hour training. And then we're starting the 8-week coaching program just after that. And it'll be 4 weeks of education, followed by 4 weeks of implementation with, live feedback and all the tips and tricks and tools to help you going forward without a diet, without restriction. So that my biggest issue with dieting is that because I did it for so long, it gives you such a false sense of control and then leaves you feeling shameful. So
Yeah.
I really felt like I wanted to help women understand that they could have a healthy body. They have to be patient to get there, and never have to start over. I'll never again say to myself, I'm going to start over on Monday because I eat the same all the time. Nothing
Mhm.
is off limits. Nothing's off limits.
That's so powerful. And your P2P sisters, not your PP, your P2P sisters have put in the comments where people can go to register. So
Thank you.
www.evelynfit.com/claim it. If you're interested in that, I would absolutely recommend that at a bare minimum, reach out to Evelyn. Check out her website. She is the business, and I'm so glad that you joined me tonight. If you guys have not listened to the podcast episode, please make sure that you go and do that because we go into detail around some of the things that we've talked about here. Before we close out, is there any other questions that may come up that you guys have? And I'll wait because I've been known to be like, oh, no questions. Boop, I'm off. So we'll wait a couple minutes.
I just want to add to that, Nicole, especially for those of us who have little ones. When we are eating in a certain way, dieting and depriving, and we don't even realize the negative lessons that we're teaching them about their body, and not to mention how almost hypocritical our actions are, because we're constantly telling them that they're amazing. We're constantly telling them that they bring so much joy to us, but we are not willing to see that for ourselves. Like, we are constantly focused on our exterior. We're constantly focused on our pant size, our dress size.
Mhm.
If we want to raise strong kids who feel grounded, then we have to be willing to be everything we want them to be. And that has to start with compassion and self-love and living presently. And yes, you can work toward changing your body, but you still have to love yourself first
While you're doing it, right? You can love
while you're
yourself
doing it.
and make the changes. That's
Absolutely.
so powerful because many of us are moms here. And, you talked about it in the podcast, how some of us, most of us, we get addicted to how we look because we are hit on so early. We're complimented so early on what our shape is. And then the minute that we don't look like that anymore, our self-esteem and our confidence goes
Yep.
out the window. And
Yep.
so being able to really first and foremost understand that, like, where it comes from, and now learning how to use these tools, which really start with tapping in with yourself. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Oh, okay. I'm going to let us go. If you are watching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay Also, I will be posting Evelyn's freebie in my Facebook community. So if you have not joined that yet, you can go to the Flow and Flourish community here on Facebook, and I'll be posting the freebie there. So I wish everybody a very, very, very happy new year. Come get fit for the last time with
That's
Evelyn
right.
LeVasseur Fitness. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.